Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Munch Madness. My name is Cameron. I'm here with my peers, Danielle, Maddie, and Autumn, and we're going to teach you guys a little bit about how different sharks eat. Now, for starters, Munch Madness is kind of this play on words of March Madness. For anyone who isn't really a sports person or doesn't know what that is, this is basically a tournament for college basketball playoffs. In March Madness, people make brackets with all the teams that are in the tournament and they choose who they think will be the winner of the entire tournament. For Munch Madness, we're kind of going to do something similar to that. So keep in mind which shark you think might have the best or maybe even just the coolest feeding style. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Danielle with our first contestant.
First up, we're going to start with the whale shark, or otherwise called the gentle giant. So whale sharks are actually not whales, they're technically sharks, but they do filter feed like whales do. Some anatomy that helps with their feeding is their very large mouth and their two sets of 5 filtering pads. The filter feeding can be separated into 3 categories. The first is surface ram filter feeding, where the whale shark swims slowly at the water's surface with the fin on its back out of the water. And then the second is vertical suction feeding, which you can see in the GIF right here, where the whale shark remains in a near vertical position and actively sucks the plankton out of the water. And finally, the third is the passive feeding, where the whale shark just swims slowly below the surface with its mouth open and allows the plankton to filter through. Next up, we have the garbage eater, or the tiger shark. So tiger sharks are going to be different from other types of sharks just because of how many different things that they eat. They're not very picky at all. Some anatomy that helps them with their feeding is their special teeth. So where most sharks have teeth that are used for cutting more in the upper jaw and then teeth that are used for holding onto their prey in the lower jaw, tiger sharks are actually going to have 24 identical teeth in each jaw. So that's a lot of teeth. They're going to have special regions in their teeth that are going to be used to reduce the effect of their very intense bite force. They have a lot of pressure in their bite. And the teeth, as well as their powerful jaws, are going to allow them to eat almost anything, including trash, like tires. So that's going to earn them their actual real-life nickname, garbage eater.
Here we have the vampire or the goblin shark. They live deep in the ocean away from almost any sunlight. Because they live so deep, food is really hard to come by, so they need to make sure that they catch everything that they find. To do this, the goblin shark has an extendable jaw that can strike even faster than a cobra snake. This goblin shark can completely detach its jaw from its mouth while feeding, which allows it to swallow its prey whole, as you can see in that little video, before it has the chance to swim away. Because the goblin shark doesn't see a lot of food in the deep ocean, this type of feeding helps him save a lot of energy so that he doesn't have to chase any food down and he can wait until they get close enough so he can shoot his jaws out and eat his food. Next we have the cowboy or the thresher shark. This shark has a long knife-like tail that can slap and stun their prey. Their tails can get up to the length of their entire body. And thresher sharks hunt small schooling fish, meaning that there's a ton of fish that swim around all together. With their tail, they can swing it in a whip-like motion by moving it up and down, which is very different than the normal side-to-side motion that they use while swimming. These sharks are able to do this whipping movement due to their spine and their tail being extremely flexible. The thresher shark uses his tail to herd the fish into a small group, then they whip their tail and hit some of the fish, stunning them so the thresher shark can eat them without them swimming away. This helps the thresher shark save energy so he doesn't have to chase around individual fish and tire himself out.
And up next, we have one of my favorites, the hammerhead shark, or as we like to say, the god of thunder. For those who don't know Marvel or don't really care for superheroes, the God of Thunder, he carries around this hammer. So hammerhead, hammer. But besides the fact that their head is this hammer-like shape and it's quite unique, it actually gives way for some advantages. Specifically, it allows for them to see more of their surroundings. Now that can be important for a few reasons. One is that if they're still a juvenile shark, so they're much smaller in size, they'll be able to see larger predators approaching them from the behind or just different angles in general. Secondly, their better range of vision will help them see predators, which actually aids in their ability to be really aggressive predators, which they are. But enough about the God of Thunder. Let's move on to our next contestant. And up next, we have the chainsaw or the sawfish. Now, while this species specifically isn't technically a shark, they are actually very closely related and they have this really unique way of feeding, which is what we thought would be really cool to mention. The sawfish have this really long rostrum, and on that rostrum there are these teeth, and they use these teeth to slice up their prey. Now, they do this by moving their rostrum back and forth in this sort of swaying motion that cuts into their prey. Typically, sawfish go after much smaller fish, which is something to keep in mind.
The spinner shark, or cyclone, is a fast-swimming species of shark that often jump out of the water at high speeds to catch their prey. The spinner shark's slim body and long tail fin are essential to its feeding strategy, which involves leaping from the surface of the water. With its mouth wide open, this shark will pick up speed underwater through schools of fish, like sardines, and spin in mid-air while snapping its jaws for pieces of fish to eat. In order to achieve their fast spins, they have more white muscle throughout their body that is made up of fast twitch, quick contracting muscle fibers to push them out of the water. This spinning motion allows them to leap out of the water at speeds of up to 46 miles an hour, allowing them to capture as many prey as possible while swimming through schools of large fish. Nurse sharks use a suction feeding method to capture their prey. They have powerful jaws with rows of small, serrated teeth designed to grasp and crush the fish that they eat. When hunting, nurse sharks rely on their acute sense of smell to detect potential prey hidden in the sand or among rocks. Once they locate a target, they use their suction force to quickly inhale the prey into their mouths. When the nurse shark is within striking distance of its fish, it rapidly expands its mouth cavity by lowering the floor of its mouth and protruding its jaw forward. This sudden expansion creates a vacuum, generating a suction force that pulls the prey into the shark's mouth.
Now that you've learned about all the sharks and the different ways that they eat, create your own Munch Madness bracket and decide which shark species described today has the best feeding technique. Here is a little Munch Madness bracket for you guys to follow. Whenever you pick a shark over another, make sure you write down why that shark wins. By the end, this is what your bracket should look like. Our winner was the thresher shark because his long tail and his ability to slap the fish makes him a really effective eater.